So the Rockets like playing on the road. We welcome in Pete Seymour from the Rocket Radio Network. Pete, thank you for joining us.
Mark, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's talk about this matchup with Kentucky. We know Toledo's not going to be intimidated by playing a Power 4 school. They're not going to be intimidated by playing an SEC school. They've had success beating the SEC. They've had success beating Power 4 schools.
No, they absolutely love it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The last few years, I mean, just by their record, you look at Pitt last year in that bowl game, that's another Power 4 team that goes down. I think they are so excited for this trip, Mark, and I think there's such an energy right now at the University of Toledo with a little bit of a revamped offense, revamped running game, that the sky's the limit right now for the Rockets. And they're just excited to get this season going. I mean, talking to Coach Candle earlier today, you can just feel the excitement, how much he enjoys playing on the road, like you said. And yeah, it's going to be a test, but it's one that we know the Rockets have handled in the past.
A revamped offense, but a couple of key contributors coming back to that offense, including quarterback Tucker Gleason.
Tucker Gleason, I mean, what more can you say about him? And here's the one thing I need to point out about Tucker Gleason. In this age of college football, he's a guy that paid his dues. He sat behind DQ for quite some time. This is going to be his second year as the full-time starter. He has paid his dues, and he knows what it takes to win a game. And this year, we're going to get to it, he's got a really healthy running back.
Chip Tranum, the transfer who knows Kentucky very well. He was at Kentucky last season. Chip Tranum, his fourth college. He has proven himself to be a durable running back.
Absolutely, and I was able to catch up with Chip earlier this week, and the one thing I really noticed about him is how much of a humble guy he is. You know, he went through all these different stops, Arizona State, Ohio State, played linebacker for a little bit in there, but he's so excited to be a Toledo Rocket, and he's so excited to bring that experience to this backfield and just show some other guys what this is about and the leadership that he can bring. And it was really nice to see the passion that he had for Toledo. And the one thing that really stuck with me is he saw the vision that this coaching staff had. When they reached out to him when he had entered the transfer portal, you know, he saw that vision and he saw a way that he can immediately come in and not just help on the field, but he can help this entire running back room that's still very young and kind of show them the way.
Rockets are maybe a sleeper pick to be the group of 5 team to make it into the college football playoff. Obviously, making a big splash week 1 against Kentucky would help in that cause. But part of the reason why you got so much consistency with this Rocket program is because you have just that consistency. Jason Candle has been there a number of years. His offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator, his strength and conditioning coach. You've had consistency at the top of that program.
Absolutely, and you look at his assistants, it's kind of like Stoops at Kentucky. That's been a coaching staff that's been together for a really long time. You look at Coach Sage, the tight ends coach, somebody who not started at Toledo, made a stop at Toledo, had a few other ventures and came back and was able to catch up with him earlier this week too, and just his perspective of how the program's grown and how he's seen Coach Jason Candle grow and how nice it was that he was just accepted back, and it's such a tight group of assistant coaches. And that's one thing we always have to recognize is, you know, Coach Candle's been here a long time, but these assistants, I mean, there's a long storied history going from Mount Union to the University of Toledo. They know each other so well.
Speaking of Mount Union, that's where this season began for the Rockets. They started off training camp in Mount Union, at Mount Union, which was, of course, Jason Candle's alma mater. Several of the coaches coached and played there as well. What did that mean for this team to have that week of bonding away from everybody else?
I think it's brilliant. I mean, you don't see a lot of college football teams be able to do this. And you see it in the NFL. I mean, going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they go to Latrobe every single year, and that's a small college campus at St. Vincent. Very small, intimate college, and it's the same thing that he did with Mount Union, just trying to establish that camaraderie away from the University of Toledo, because how often do you usually get that? It's summer camp, you're going through the same reps on your same practice field, but guess what? You get to stay in the dorms, you have a roommate, you know, you're only around the guys you're playing ball with, and I think that just helps so much, not just with the camaraderie, but getting to know some of the transfers coming in, because one thing Coach Candle also said earlier this week is, hey, you know what? There's a lot of guys that I've never seen play for the Toledo Rockets in a regular season game so far. So as much as Kentucky has a lot of people coming in and going out, the Rockets have kind of the same thing, but I'm really excited for some of those transfers.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Toledo losing quite a bit from the secondary, but I think that secondary is still going to be a strength this year.
Oh, it's absolutely going to be a strength. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, absolute monster back there. Braden Alls, of course, local product, stepped into a massive role last year. And I don't see this secondary taking any kind of a step back. It is going to be a huge, huge, consistent part of this team this year. And to parlay off that a little bit, there will be some new faces on the defensive line. There will be a few new linebackers. And that's just the story of it. But you have these guys that have seen what it's like to play in this Toledo Rocket program. I mean, they're not new. A lot of the guys on the defensive line, they saw reps last year. They just weren't full-time starters. They were behind people like Darius Alexander, an NFL draft pick. I mean, guys looking up to Maxon Hook and Quinyon Mitchell these past few years. So yeah, the secondary is going to be a stellar part of this defense, and I think they're going to be locked down. But I think the reason that's happened, Mark, is because they've seen all of these other players come through the system. I mean, it's a culture at this point. The expectations are what people set before them, and I think the guys, that's why there's no step back in this. It's strictly the fact of they know what the expectation is, and they know the standard, and they've seen the guys do it.
Rockets last year went down to Starkville, beat Mississippi State, won in SEC country last season, taking on Kentucky. This is an interesting Kentucky program. A few years ago, Mark Stoops had kind of had this program maybe a middle of the pack for the SEC, which is a good thing, and maybe the ceiling for the Kentucky Wildcat football program. But in the last couple of years, they've kind of gone back towards the pack. Part of that's with the SEC expanding and you know, bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. That's going to push them down a little bit further. But they've had trouble adjusting to this new SEC.
They have, and I think a strength for this Kentucky team this year is going to be their offensive line. They have a combined like 150 starts, and to put it full circle, the Battle of I-75 kind of in effect, the starting right tackle for Kentucky this year is going to be Alex Wolschlager, the arguably best lineman at Bowling Green last year. So yeah, this Kentucky team struggled last year, but again, a coaching staff that's been around a long time, and you know you're going to have the athleticism. Year in and year out, what's Kentucky always have? A really good running back and a really good offensive line, and guys in the secondary that are lengthy and they're extremely athletic. I want to say they have 55 newcomers coming in, so a lot of new faces, but again, they're playing for a lot of the same coaches.
Yeah, for years, Kentucky has recruited Ohio. Part of that's because of the Stoops brothers and their connections to the Buckeye State. But there seemed like always had to be one or two guys from the 419 because of Vince Morrow, the former Toledo Rocket. But Vince is no longer with Kentucky. He's now the other side of that state. He's working for Louisville now. So maybe that 419 to Lexington thing, that pipeline no longer is going to exist. I want to thank Pete Seymour from the Rocket Radio Network for joining us. Pete, thank you so much.
Mark, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the year.